What is up, Mullet Gang? It is your favorite neuro-edgy duo, ready to empower the fuck out of you.
Are you ready to break free from the chains of neurotypical expectations? Hello, we are recording this live from Miami. We're hoping to only get a couple takes in. We are in Miami because we went to go see Charli XCX.
Yes.
What an amazing show, y'all. Like, oh my God, was it not, like, the outfits, the music, the vibe, the energy, we were so inspired by it, right?
Oh my gosh, it was so empowering. It was just such an amazing energy of freedom and being authentic and diversity and acceptance. It was just amazing.
During the song Girl, So Confusing, we both kind of like were listening to the lyrics and we looked at each other and we're like, oh, we are gonna use that to make this episode. This episode is very dear and near to our hearts because we both kind of experienced this like later in life diagnosis or embracing of our ADHD. And, you know, we're not alone. Like, I think part of the reason why we made this podcast is because we have heard so much in our life, like friends, family members, clients,
Yes.
people that we know in our community, getting this like later diagnosis that like they have ADHD, which is like, as we both know, it's challenging. It changes your whole world. Like it just makes you so aware. It makes you kind of feel like you're getting some missing pieces to the big puzzle, which is life. So yeah, the lost girl generation. So this is for you guys. We're going to create this episode for you.
You were lost and now you're found. And that's really the goal of the Mullet Gang podcast for individuals that have felt lost their entire life and felt like they were missing some important piece of information. Something felt off or things always felt hard. But now with understanding yourself and your diagnosis in your brain, it can be so empowering to really understand what works and what doesn't, and then how to get the right support.
And that's why we're here, you guys. We are your besties. We are
Yes.
your ADHD besties. We want to make you feel less alone. We want to empower you. We want you guys to know that like having ADHD, not being neurotypical, having those differences in the way that your brain functions isn't a bad thing. It's a challenging thing, but it's not a bad thing. And I think that it's kind of an emotional thing to be part of a group of women, especially women, you know, that just didn't get that support, didn't get that awareness until a lot of things, you know, happened. Like they lived, they went through hard phases in life, and now they're finally getting to understand themselves more and more. So yeah, it's a very popular term. It's a very popular thing. You're hearing it everywhere now. People are talking about ADHD. So yeah, let's dive into it.
Yeah, let's talk about why. Why is this so common for women to get diagnosed later in life and be on this journey, right, in their 30s and 40s? And like you said, it's a bittersweet experience. It can be so empowering to have this knowledge, but also there's some sadness and grief involved in the process too, which we want to talk about.
I think people are going to hear this and they're going to be like, oh my God, why is ADHD like everywhere? Why is everyone talking about it? Why is this becoming like so trendy?
Mm-hmm.
I get asked that question a lot. I'm sure you have heard it before. And I know there's a generation that's like, doesn't want to hear it. They don't want to absorb it.
Yeah.
But the reason why I think ADHD has become like so trendy lately is because like so many people are getting late diagnosis, especially girls, especially women, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Why? Like, why the fuck is that happening? Why are all these like women like suddenly now getting diagnosed versus like men who get diagnosed in like when they're like little, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it is what we're doing right here is awareness and advocacy. You know, more people are talking about it. There's more research being done. We have more information on what ADHD looks like in girls and women. So now we're finally getting the right services and support. But when we were growing up, that wasn't going on. So
No, it wasn't. So yeah. So I think that you mentioned like this whole lost girl generation. Like, who are those people? Who are the lost girls?
Well, that's our generation, the millennials, right? The lost girl generation, the anxious generation. And a lot of it was, again, when we were growing up, there wasn't as much mental health awareness, right? Like we didn't have social media like this. People weren't talking about their own experiences. And what a lot of therapists or doctors knew about ADHD was very much outdated, right? And so when people were getting diagnosed, it was based on this research for like 6 to 12-year-old boys. I'm sorry, but I'm not a 6 to 12-year-old boy.
No, I'm sorry, but like I'm fucking tired of guys only getting like the healthcare industry to pay attention to them.
Yeah.
Like I'm so tired of women not getting the healthcare that they need, getting late diagnosis, not understanding their hormones, you know, not having support during menopause. Like there's still women out there that are like giving each other advice and they're not getting it from their providers, you know? Like why the fuck did my therapist not say, honey, all of this that you're feeling, it's because you have ADHD? Or why is it that so many people our age, their parents like never wanted them to do therapy? Like why is that shut down immediately? Like, oh, you don't need that, or that's not going to help you. Like, it's just so much. There's just so much in the generation after us, or before us, I mean, that they just like slam like mental health. They slam and make it like shameful to feel this way or to have these diagnoses, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that was a roadblock for a lot of people getting the right help. Right? Their parents were in denial or they didn't want to acknowledge that there was an issue. So we are breaking so many generational patterns. A lot of us are the first generation to go to therapy, to, you know, parent differently, to break through generational trauma. So there's been a lot of pressure and weight on our generation, right, to kind of pave the way for all these changes.
I mean, we're also supposed to be the generation to like clean up all the mess that these boomers are making. Like, seriously. We gave you guys Facebook. Is that not enough?
Stay on Facebook.
Yeah. Right? We gave you Instagram. We gave you even TikTok. Like, leave us alone. We don't want to fix everything. But we have to. We have to. I mean, listen, I think getting a late diagnosis is better than never getting a diagnosis.
Sure.
But it's infuriating that, you know, ADHD is like this really weird subject that like people still don't really 100% like believe in or think it's a bunch of malarkey, or you're just giving like an excuse, you know?
Yeah. Well, and a lot of it goes back to the women's health and mental health even. Like people aren't putting money or resources into it because they don't find it important, right? Mm-hmm. And that's super frustrating because then that limits us from getting the right services, and people still have these like bias and stigmas like, oh, ADHD is not real, or only like little boys can have it, or you grow out of it. And so that's what we're working against, right?
Again, I think it goes back to like the healthcare system is just not where it needs to be. It's not at all expansive. I think that this whole like religion and church and state and all that bullshit, like it gets in the way. Yeah. You know, like we're one of those countries that like we have so much potential and we still don't live up to it. Like, what are we doing? Like being so shameful about talking about women's issues and mental health issues. There's nothing to be ashamed about that. There's nothing to feel shame. Like, for humans, we have all these multi, like, dimensions and like, why are we just not in tune with it all?
Yeah.
Right? Like, we're trying to control things that we can't control.
No.
We can't control.
Well, and there's so much like strengths and superpowers in neurodivergence. I think being able to celebrate that and celebrate having diversity and people that have brains that work differently, and we're the creators, the innovators, the entrepreneurs, right? So there's so many of us out there, some found, some still lost. And if we do the right research, then more of the lost girls can be found and come to the place that we're at now, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we know a lot of lost girls. We know them well. We know them from school, from home, from, you know, in my case, the salon, in your case, the office. And it's just like, let's help these women be found, right?
Yeah. Well, you want to hear something wild? And I think we may have talked about this before, but going back to like men and boys getting all the attention and research. Yeah. So the average age for boys to be diagnosed 7 to 9 years old. You want to hear the average age for women? 30s and 40s. Now, you look at the discrepancy, and that's like, what the literal fuck?
But like, why? What?
They haven't updated the criteria. They haven't done enough research on girls and women. And for a long time, there was this denial. Oh, well, girls can't have ADHD. Girls are just good and quiet and not hyperactive.
We got to talk about the good girl movement.
Oof.
You know, like as kids, like how many of us were told to be not, seen but not heard, or play more quietly, play by yourself, go over there, keep all that shit over there.
Yeah, how we're socialized, right?
Yeah. Don't cry, don't be emotional. And then in high school, it's all about like who's the toughest alpha female. Showing emotion weakens you.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we were shamed for having emotions. So then a lot of us ended up avoiding emotions, right? And then we don't know how to regulate our emotions when we really want to feel them.
Yeah.
And just this pressure to be good and quiet and still, not cause an issue, not to be aggressive, because assertive is aggressive if you're a girl.
If you're a girl, anything you say that doesn't go with what people want to hear is aggressive.
Exactly.
The way you dress, we get a fucking flacked a lot. Like I just feel like you and I, like we have both similar experiences, shared experiences, where we talk about how people like, make us feel like crap for the way we want to dress, the music we listen to, our makeup, our hair, like, you should be more polished, you should be more professional, you should be more of a mom. There's just, it's a lot of girl on girl meanness and shaming that happens, and I think it's because we're just so unregulated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's too much pressure. I mean, just from the beginning to, be a high achiever, to be successful, there was so much pressure on our generation to have to make it big and to please everyone and take over everything, right? That's why so many of us are burnt out now, because we tried to live up to that and we couldn't.
No, we could not. I mean, in all seriousness, like, it was really hard for me to embrace, kind of like separating from my cultural background, separating from, things my mom wanted me to be, which was like very elegant, very demure, very cutesy. She always says like elegance is everything. And she really believes that, and good for her. I mean, I get it, but I see beauty in the rough shapes. I see beauty in the things that are a little scary, are a little dark. I see beauty in things that aren't perfect. I see beauty in quirkiness and humor. I love that, And I think that when you try to just see elegance, then you start to close off on the things that could be so beautiful, so deep, so impactful, because you're just judging. You're afraid. You're afraid to embrace the unique things that don't always look perfect or pretty. You can't put everything in a bow. A couple of weeks ago, my assistant told me that she found a book called Adult Children of Emotionally Immature Parents, right? She tells me about this book. The minute she says the title, I feel goosebumps. I'm like,
ding, ding, ding.
What did you just say?
Mm-hmm.
And she's just like, yeah, like, I really think that that's a great book. Like, you should definitely check it out. And so, we both grew up Latina. We grew up with immigrant parents who just don't quite fit in. And on top of that, we're the black sheep in our family, and we don't quite fit in because we're juggling ethnicity, culture, parents who kind of are foreign. Foreign parents are hard. It's a really hard thing, y'all. And I just thought kind of that, like, it wasn't very common for people to have, like, emotionally immature parents. But the title made sense, and I read the book, and I was floored. I can't even, like, that's a whole episode. We don't have to, like, uncover it now.
Yeah.
But you right now telling me that your parents to you are emotionally immature, like, how many of us do you think are struggling with this?
I mean, it's such a large majority. I think it's more the norm. I mean, the more people that I talk to in our generation, millennials, I mean, we can relate on such a deep level. I think we need this support. We need to talk about this because then we have all this shame, right, from being parented that way. And most of us end up parentified, meaning that we have to almost take on this role of like the caregiver, the educator, the one that has the knowledge or awareness, and sharing that with our parents. So it's just like a weird age to be in where you have to start to bring that awareness to your family.
So are all boomer parents emotionally immature? Like, how do we know? Is that it's like, I need to know the answer.
Well, and I think we can never make overgeneralizations, but we can look at a generation and say, hey, based on the time that our parents grew up as boomers, like there were certain resources and research done and awareness and things they had access to. There was a certain way that they were parented in general and things that they lived through that all influenced the way that they showed up for us, right?
Mm-hmm. I mean, did they show up for us? Sometimes, not all the times. But yeah, I think they tried. I do think that my parents always had the best intention was to make me an overall decent human being, right? Like, I don't ever feel like my parents did anything on purpose to hurt me or to hinder my growth. But again, like, how can I expect something from people, like from my parents? How can we expect anything from anyone who didn't have the help themselves, who didn't have that awareness ever? I thank the universe that, you know, things were put in my life that gave me the awareness. I never went looking for mental health help until there were some huge issues or burnout happened. Does that make any sense?
And that's so different from the generation these days because they're all in therapy. They all are doing it just like as a preventative measure.
Yeah.
Like, and that's what's so cool. And that's how I kind of felt the concert last night.
Oh my
too.
God, I was going to say that.
I'm like, all these people are so like aware and doing the work,
awake,
so attuned to like their own stuff and their family and, you know, dynamics and aware, just everything. It feels so powerful to see this new generation. But we did that. We are the generation that kind of opened those doors and we're the first ones to go to therapy and start to do this work and kind of heal our wounds, right?
Yes.
So, I mean, let's hear it for the millennials, guys, because we are really trailblazers in this new era, right?
I feel like a trailblazer, definitely. I mean, I'm hoping to be one. I want to be one. I think that I look at my kid and I go, I want to be a better parent than the one I got to have, you know? Not because my parents suck, because why wouldn't you want to be better? I want to give my kid the things that I lacked, and I did lack this understanding. I'm so happy that there are parents out there getting like early diagnosis for their daughters, right?
Yeah, I mean, knowledge is power, and like you said, we can't hold it against our parents for not knowing then, but we can try to bring them into the awareness now if they're open to it, as well as show up differently for our kids, right? And to make those changes, to give them resources, to not shame them for having emotions, to empower them for their differences, right?
So love our parents. We don't have to break up with our parents.
No. And again, I'm sure our kids are going to talk about the things that we didn't know, we weren't aware of, and you can only do what you know.
I really
right?
hope not me, but yeah.
Well, and we're always learning so much more. I mean, think about how much we've learned in the last few decades about mental health, right?
Oh my God, there's so much. And also, like, I feel like you and I, like, at the concert yesterday, we were like, oh, we're like the oldest ones. But I was really not trying to think that. I was trying to think, like, look at us still, like, in the moment of what's relevant, still finding ourselves in adventure, still trying to hear what are the people saying? What are the younger people saying? Like, I care, you know, I care a lot about what younger people have to say. And I wish more generations did that. Like, I know when I was a baby millennial, when we were babies, I remember hearing, like, the older people always be like, millennials are ruining everything. And they're so stupid. They don't know what they're doing. But, like, really? Like, fuck you. Like, your parents said that about you. Your grandparents said that about them. Get out of here. I was actually listening to an interview, and they were interviewing all the cast of Friends, and they asked them, like, oh, you know, how do you feel about what they're saying about Gen X? And none of them wanted to answer the question. They're like, oh, don't even get me started. I hate what they say about Gen Xers. Like, we're going to ruin the world. We're lazy. We're immature. And I'm just like, wait, they said that about millennials, and now millennials are saying that about Gen Z.
Yeah, there's a pattern there. Well, and I think, every older generation is going to have kind of that mindset of, well, we did it better and you guys aren't keeping up with our standards or you have it easier. But I think we all can learn from each other, right? And kind of come together in harmony.
Yes. Like, here's an insider tip, okay? In the beauty industry, I find that the more you don't talk shit about the younger generation and the more you embrace it, the younger and more supple you feel, okay?
Ooh, I like it.
Yes. The more that you open your heart and mind and soul to the kids, the more you absorb. They're still so happy and shiny and pretty. I love being around the younger kids. I love being around my staff at the salon. I love being around babies. Like, I just love to see that there are people out there changing, doing the work, and maybe getting to see life through the lens of somebody that's in that bright phase that hasn't really been jaded by the world. It's kind of nice.
Oh, absolutely. And I felt that energy yesterday. I just was observing, watching, and it felt so cool just to all collectively be in this experience of experiencing the music and dancing together with all these different generations and being inspired by each other, right? Like, we can all learn from each other. It doesn't have to be this negativity or competition.
It doesn't. I think it's a shame that there are people, still getting this like later diagnosis. Like, for me, I didn't get a late diagnosis, but I did come to terms and get a better understanding with my own research and then talking to other therapists who were more open to the knowledge and resources that are out there. And now I actually am going to go see a therapist who kind of specializes in ADHD. So I think that I'm going to try that out and see how that feels for me, because I think I want to just keep diving into that, right?
Yeah.
I am sad that it came late. I am sad that I wasn't given more opportunities or support. If medication could have changed my life, could have made me better. I don't know. We'll never know. But it's hard not to feel a little sad that the diagnosis came late or that you're learning all about ADHD later.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a bittersweet experience. Like you said, you have so many different emotions. It's a huge relief to finally get the right support and understand yourself. But there is some of that grief and sense of loss of time, right? If only I knew earlier or had better support or treatment, and then some anger. Like, why? Why is this happening to all of us? It's not fair. We should have known. We should have gotten the right diagnosis or the right support or understanding. So it's normal, right? If you get a late diagnosis, to be angry, sad, happy, relieved, excited, all of the above. But the key is that you give yourself that time and space to process the information, figure out your own support system and treatment plan, and really give it time to work, because it's not something that will just suddenly change in your life.
No, it won't. You can't get rid of it. Yeah, unfortunately, you can't really get rid of it, but that's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing.
I mean, it's not something that you really want to get rid of, but there are certain aspects that can be super challenging, like the executive dysfunction and really debilitating at times. But there are also these like amazing strengths and superpowers that we talk about. So I think it's learning to lean into that more and then get the right tools for the hard stuff.
Yeah, I think it's okay to come with like little cliff notes, Yeah, ADHD may not feel like a badge of honor, but I think that if you can at least learn to own it and lean into it, you can really empower yourself, and make better choices, handle life better, handle family better, handle friendships better. So yeah, I think it's really important to get the resources. It's really important to get help. It's really important to find your tribe, even maybe find people who also have these struggles and get to like know them better. Like, I think for us, that was huge. We kind of leaned into our friendship a lot because of it. And it's a strong bond, right? Like, I feel like we have this trauma bonding that we didn't know we still had. We were linked all these years. Amy and I, we didn't see each other for almost like 15 years after high school. And we rekindled our friendship over, I want to say, trauma bonding.
Yeah. And can I just say how refreshing it is to travel with someone that gets it and speaks my language. Like you and I can look at each other and you can be like, I'm sorry, I'm having sensory issues, or I'm feeling anxious. And I can say, I'm really hangry right now, or I need to take some time to decompress.
Yeah.
Like you get it, and I don't have to feel guilty. I can like just be my authentic self, and you understand what I'm going through.
Yes. I mean, straight to show. Like, Amy, I'm not quiet because I'm like mad or anything. I'm quiet right now because I'm having like this fear of heights thing happening, and I'm freaking the fuck out, and there's just too many people around me, and I really think I'm going to eat it right now. So yeah.
But we could totally like vibe on that.
No,
like,
you related. You
right?
knew what I was talking about.
I was like, same.
Yeah.
Like, and we could
me too.
share in our trauma from walking up these steep stairs and having the fear that we're going to fall down.
I was like, I'm not drinking alcohol if I have to climb this fucking thing of stairs. Are you kidding me? My blood pressure is going to go up. My anxiety is going to go up. What if I slip and fall? I mean, I don't know if you can drink and climb stairs, but it sounds dangerous, like drinking and driving.
Well, and with ADHD, I'm already super clumsy and not focusing, so it took a lot of mental health. Yeah,
and also I didn't want to be really close to everybody. We like kept moving seats, which you're not supposed to do, so we don't recommend, but we didn't give a fuck. Our sensories were overloaded, and we just needed to find fresh air, so to speak.
Yeah. And I mean, that's the benefit of understanding yourself and having people that understand you, like your support system, your friends, your family, your significant others, because it takes that shame away and you don't have to mask. Like, I don't have to mask with you because you get it. I can say, hey, this is what's happening, right?
Yes. I mean, for me, I like what I really value in our friendship is that I could be really weird and I don't have to like apologize that much at all. I do it to be courteous, but I'm like, I'm just being weird right now. Like, am I saying weird things? Like, is this coming out right? Is this outfit okay? Because I feel really unhinged.
We can verbalize all the stuff in our brain with each other, right? Like, this is what I'm thinking right now. This is what I'm worried about. This is the story that I'm telling myself.
Oh, you don't like the way that the air feels right now? Let's get the fuck out of here. You wanna dive into these French fries with me? Let's do it.
The vibe's off. Let's fucking go. Right?
Yeah. Yes. This one, I don't know. Yay. Yes. Well, we're looking for people. We're looking to reach people who, this resonates with them. We're looking to reach people who are questioning, do I have ADHD? Is this happening to me? Am I one of those? Girl, bye. It's fine. You know what? Come to the dark side. Like, let us help you.
Come to the other side.
Break on through.
But seriously, if you have questions or you're curious and you're really connecting with ADHD, reach out. We have resources. We want to involve the community. Or if you've recently been diagnosed or late diagnosed and you want to come on as a guest and talk about your experience, please reach out. We want to build this community and raise this awareness to help everyone. You are not alone and you are not too much.
No, we want to hold your hand through this experience because at the end of the day, this is what this podcast is about. Empowering, getting you knowledge, getting you support. And then if you hear our crazy stories and they're resonating with you, go get checked out. Like, it doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt.
You're welcome in the gang.
Typically what happens is you make an appointment with a local therapist, which you can find online, BetterHelp even, and
lots of different resources.
Start to question, do I have ADHD? I do recommend finding someone that, a therapist that like knows about it. And it might be someone younger. It might be someone who is just really deep diving into everything with mental health, right?
Yeah, I mean, I would say look at their profile on their website and make sure that they use the right language. They talk about neurodiversity, they talk about adult ADHD, and then when you do your consult with them, also ask them, so tell me your understanding of ADHD.
Ooh, you can ask that?
Absolutely.
No, you can't.
Yes, you can.
They're going to be like, girl, get out of here.
No, you are the client and you have to advocate for yourself. You're in charge here. You can go therapist shopping, doctor shopping until you find the right one. Ask about what type of trainings have you done? What do you know about this? Are you an advocate? You can ask all those questions until you find the person that you feel comfortable with, because that makes such a difference.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, wow. I guess I've always lucked out, but yeah, I didn't know you could do all that. That's such a great tip and something to keep in mind. I think a lot of us client people who don't know about, how it works, we assume that we have to apologize if you're not the right fit, or we assume that it's rude to ask, a health professional, are you good at your job?
No, this is for you. This is your space. So you want to make sure you have the right person that has the right knowledge base and that you feel comfortable with, especially with therapy and doctors, right?
Right on. Yeah, no, for sure. For sure.
So advocate for yourself, guys.
Yeah. Get the help, get the support. Reach out to us. If this all sounds familiar, reach out to us. If you just got diagnosed and you feel like you're late in the game, ain't no shame on that. It's fine. We want to hold your hand and help you through the process.
Yeah. So thanks for listening. Thanks for being here. And as always, we love you and we love this community. Bye, guys.
Bye.